We do a segment of the program called Small Caps for People Too, where we get a chance to cover kind of a birth of a public company. We started covering this company last year. Name of the company is OriginOil, and of course, OOIL is their stock symbol. OriginOil.com is their website, and they have a breakthrough water cleanup technology called electro water separation. We've covered this company from the very beginning. Now, many of you know I'm a stock picker. I think our stock picks were up 68% last year, 63%. I go on Fox Business and Wall Street Journal to kind of sort of bring the big board companies up. It's rare that I get to look at a small cap company like this in terms of a stock play, which is why we created this segment. Riggs Eckelberry, the CEO, has been on a number of times in the program to kind of watch, kind of show you what goes on inside the lunchroom, so to speak.
Personally,
but man, has this business changed, and it's changed in such a way that I get emails every day about OriginOil. In fact, Riggs joins us via Skype today because he couldn't be bothered to come down to the studio.
Let's see if he's dressed this time.
Mr. Big Shot.
Hello. Oh, good.
There he is.
On for the show. That's
there he is, Riggs. Riggs, I see you sent in the brains into the studio today, as opposed to the brawn. We've got GM of your Petro division of OriginOil, Bill Charneski. You want to do an introduction there, buddy?
Well, okay, so Bill is, you're right, he is the brains in the place. He came to us from a great career at Dow Chemical, where he was a plant manager and a district sales manager, and basically has been through the ringer and knows how it goes. He was the one in 2012 who figured out that our algae extraction process could also work to get petroleum and chemicals out of frack water, and he's been pursuing it, and he now has licensees, and we're about to roll out a full-scale system on the Monterey Formation, as you know, in March, and he is responsible for that.
Well, let's talk about that. So Bill, with respect to the fracking and the licensees that you've been pursuing, you guys are ready to roll this out. Kind of take us from soup to nuts on how this whole thing started. When you got to OriginOil, you said, "Okay, Riggs, here's an opportunity, and we can uncover this opportunity." Kind of explain that market, explain the opportunity, and sort of what you're responsible for.
When I first joined OriginOil, actually, we were still focused on harvesting algae from the algae water.
Right.
And we were working on how to commercialize those products. And in May of 2012, actually, I was in conversation with with Pacific Advanced Civil Engineering, which is one of our engineering companies that we contract with, and got to talking about a project they were working on to clean up frac flowback water, and they weren't very happy with the process that they were using. And I said, "Well, you really haven't seen our most recent adaptations of our process. Let's do some testing." And so they brought over some frac flowback water from, I think, West Texas, if I remember correctly, and we tested it with our prototype in the lab, and they were amazed at the results. And so we were off to the races.
No algae in there, though.
No algae. It was strictly dirty, dirty, oily.
Dirty fracking water.
Dirty fracking water. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of that more and more as we're allowed to do it here. I was just in North Dakota where they're fracking nuts. They're going all over.
But
in fact, my biggest joke was I think someone just fracked. I kind of shook a little.
But the interesting part is you guys are taking out the objection to fracking. I mean, you're countering the objection to fracking, and I think that's the selling point here, is because the biggest issue with fracking is environmental, and that's the political side of this thing. You guys can be agnostic in that area because you've taken the objection out of it.
It's a major part of it. We've taken out not only the potential contamination because we're treating the water, but we're also taking and recycling the water so that oil companies don't have to buy new water
and truck it in.
So you have the expense of the new water, and you're using water that should maybe go to a farmer's field.
Yeah.
And the trucking expense and the trucking hassle or the detrimental effects on the roads and so forth.
The drivers, the accidents, anything that goes with moving along.
And then on the other side of it, once you've done the fracking and you're starting to get the water out of the well, you have to truck it away, and it goes down a disposal well. So, we can eliminate or pretty much minimize all four of those things. And actually, if you look at the economics of it, a typical frack job by recycling water, a typical oil company could save $200,000 for a typical frac job.
Okay, and how does that savings manifest itself? Is that just raw? Is that raw savings? We're going to get into that at 35 past the hour. I'm going to have Bill explain that, and I want Riggs to kind of expand on that. Bill Charneski, GM of the oil, I should say Petro division for Origin Oil, with us on the program. Riggs Eckelberry, CEO, of course, from his sumptuous offices somewhere north of San Diego, California. Both guys join me here again. By the way, OriginOil.com is a website, stock symbol OOIL. Part of our small caps for people too. Big Biz Show coming back. Stand by. Riggs Eckelberry joins us from Origin Oil as the CEO. So Riggs, let me ask you this. And by the way, the stock symbol for Origin Oil is OOIL on their website, OriginOil.com. Riggs, let me ask you something. You know, as Bill Charneski here in studio just mentioned to us, when he joined the firm, you guys were still heavily concentrating on the algae extraction side of this thing. You and I have always had this conversation where I think your big profit center is going to be aquaculture. You think your big profit center, Mr. Smarty Pants, is going to be oil and gas, and you are the CEO of the company. But now it appears that you're going to win this one because this opens up a whole new model for you, does it not?
Yes. Well, as I reported this week in my newsletter, which everyone should subscribe to, California is going through a huge drought. At the same time, they're introducing fracking to pay their huge union obligations and so forth. So they have, they're really caught between a rock and a hard place. They feel they have to frack. At the same time, there's a historic drought that could last, who knows how long.
Sure.
And so really what we need to do here is help them out. There's a lot of awareness of that. In March, late March, we plan to have this big launch. And I think what Bill has done a wonderful job of is to work out how our licensees can integrate this technology for high volume decontamination of this water so it can be reused.
Just make bigger machines.
Well,
that's what I would think.
That's exactly
Use bigger pipes.
That's exactly right. Thanks, Riggs. So, Bill, here's my question for you. Then, you heard Riggs, and so how do you pull the trigger? How do you got a point A and a point B, and that point B I know is a moving target for you at this business right now. How do you kind of move this initiative forward and stay focused at the same time, all the while staying true to the technology and keeping your potential customers happy, and let's keep in mind still while proving the concept.
Well, I think the first thing that has happened is that Riggs has appointed me as general manager so I can focus strictly on oil and gas, and I don't have to be diverted to aquaculture and the other things. We've got other people who are managing that. So I can really focus on developing basically a worldwide network of licensees for our technology, for the EWS technology to be applied for the treatment of frac and produced water. And we're well on the way of doing that.
Is that a fresh system you have to set up there, or does this add to what's in place at some of these sites, or is it a combination?
It's
like, can you add just one part of your whole gizmo there? Or I'm trying to put it together.
It depends on what you're trying to do, what the contaminants are, and what your in use of the water is.
All right.
So the systems are to some degree custom, and according to where the installation is. But for the most part, it's probably going to be a modular system that will start out with the EWS system to remove the oil and the contaminated, chemicals, the suspended solids.
Yeah.
And then that will probably be followed up by like a nanofilter system from an alternative supplier. And once you do those two steps, you basically have water that can be reused for lots of applications.
Right.
For
Bathing?
frac water.
No, not well. But let me ask you this too. And Riggs, I'm going to ask you first because we've glossed over this when you're in studio, and I want to cover this today once and for all. Nails in all of his wisdom, and when I say wisdom, I mean
Hello.
He mentioned, what about drinking water? I mean, look, you can take ammonia out of water in a matter of seconds where it takes everybody else a matter of days or weeks. You've been able to extract oil, algae, everything else. What about that drinking water model? Is that something you're keeping under your belt? Because we've never actually talked about it. Is that a possible business model in the future?
No.
Well, absolutely. And really, any organic contaminant that exists in large bodies of water is a target for us. Now, for example, we're very happy with our first deal in California, but our second deal in Delta, Colorado is even more interesting because in Colorado, they have to return the water to drinking water quality to go back into the rivers and so forth. And so they're doing it. They're making it happen. And our system, again, is positioned upstream of whatever they do downstream to whatever whether it's gray water grade or or full drinking water capabilities.
And at the end, would that model be something that came as a result of sort of what you guys have? Well, I mean, you guys have been evolutionary so far. Is that just another chain of the evolution of Origin Oil?
Right. So the main problem that exists with water is that you have very small amounts of contaminants in large amounts of water. This is the problem, whenever you have water contamination. For example, I was hearing Poland is a big mess. Every single aquifer is messed up in Poland. And there's an opportunity here to go in and clean this up without spending vast amounts of money on membranes and so forth. This is low energy, zero chemicals, very scalable, and that's a real, huge part of the solution for fracking, for aquaculture, for water remediation, as you say, for mine tailings. There's a whole array of opportunities. What we have here today is a historic day. We announced that we started this office in Houston.
Yeah, in fact, there's a press release came out. If you look at, if you go to originoil.com, or you go to any of the websites, you guys opened up a Houston satellite office to better serve oil and gas industry. Bill, what does that mean to you guys? Is that something exciting for you? It has to be for you personally, because that's your bailiwick.
Well, being in Houston, being in the energy corridor, and there
boots on the
literally
ground there, right?
It's boots on the ground. It's being able to take and meet immediately, with our potential customers, potential licensees. Having a presence there is almost a requirement. Our industry advisor, Dr. Jerry Bailey, who's an ex-president of Exxon, is local to there also, and so he's going to be available for all of these meetings, and just the credibility of having Jerry there is going to be great too.
Not just any boots on the ground. Those are Tony Lama rattlesnake skin boots.
Thank you, because they're from Houston.
That's Houston, thanks.
Well, Bill, will you come back with us so we can keep up with you? Because it's exciting what you're doing, and congratulations on all the success. And of course, the licensing issue is very exciting for you.
I'll absolutely come back, and I want to come back and tell you about the Middle East trip that I just made.
Well, wait a second. Let's talk about it as long as you're here. So, tell us about the Middle East trip.
That's some frequent
what was that
flyer
about?
miles.
Yeah, it was a long trip.
Yeah.
No, the Middle East trip was great. While I was there, I met with officials of Aramco, Qatar Petroleum, Kuwait Oil Company,
The biggies.
the Japanese National Oil Company, Petronas, all of the biggies. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
And what does that does that lead to the possible the same technology you've been pitching the licensing to recently? Same, or is it a modification?
What that's going to lead to is an additional licensees in the Middle East.
Wow.
And
so suddenly Origin Oil is,
we're no longer going to,
You know why you did this, don't you? Riggs, I know why you did this, Eckelberry, because you wanted to, it was a bet between me and Riggs, but I thought the aquaculture business was going to be bigger. He said oil and gas, so he goes ahead and hires Bill. Bill goes to the Middle East.
Yeah, Middle East.
They're ignoring Asia, where all the fish farms are. Thanks, Riggs. I appreciate
Guilty
that.
as charged.
We had nothing on it even. We
wants
didn't
to
even bet
win
any
the
money.
bet.
I think we bet dinner at freaking Der Wiener Schnitzel or something like that. See, that's how Riggs just doesn't lose. That's the deal.
There you go.
Bill, thanks so much. I appreciate you being on the air with us.
Thank you very much.
And
I
of
appreciate
course, Riggs Eckelberry, CEO of Origin Oil. Buddy, we'll see you in town next week, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait to catch up with you. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.